Hi lovelies, and welcome back to my channel. Now you're joining me here in my doll room / library to bring you news of what I think is a really exciting new tag that can be joined in at any time. So this is an idea that me and my booktube friend Julie over at Bookish Travels came up with together. We were having a discussion where Julie commented that she'd really like to read more witchy fiction. Now witchcraft fiction is just really something that I adore. I am currently reading this Barbara Walker book, Discovering the Virgin Mother and Crone, the Skeptical Feminist. I'm about a third of the way through. It is fantastic. This kind of gives you a feel of sort of my interest in this topic, apart from just purely loving reading and loving fiction stories with witchcraft in. I am also very interested in working with the idea of the revival of the goddess, and working with Celtic deity as well, and particularly with the Morrigan. So I have a lot of non-fiction books as well as a growing collection of fiction books to help me in reading around this sort of subject area. Last month you will have seen me reading this book, The Witches of Vardo, which is by Anya Bergman. If you were on my channel and you saw my wrap up last month, I also read on audiobook Escape to Witch Mountain. So for me, at any point in the year, there will normally either be a non-fiction or a fiction sort of witchy read in the mix. So this is a conversation that me and Julie were having, and we thought, wouldn't it be great to do like a focus on witchy reading, witchy literature, whether that be fiction or non-fiction. We then racked our brains going through the year thinking, could we invent a tag that was a month of reading witchy fiction? But we quickly discovered that between different challenges and the Candy Reading Challenge and prompts for that, and things like Victober and things like her Storyathon, which is going on this month, or with the Jane Austen read along, the months were pretty much filled up and we were busy all year and we couldn't find somewhere to slot that in. And we decided that actually we don't want to read witchy fiction with it all rammed into a month. It's something that is more ongoing. I certainly know that it is in my own reading. Like I said, at any point in the year, you will normally find me with at least a couple of witchcraft books on the go. So, I mean, even this month, it's her Storyathon. As part of that, one of the prompts is to read a book about a real woman in a letter or a diary form. So I've got Diary of a Witch by Sybil Leek off my bookshelf to read. I've got Moonlit March, so the Slewfoot, which is a tale of bewitchery, that's out to read. Also, as Moonlit March, there's a non-fiction witchcraft book out to read based around the idea of reclaiming the goddess. So you can see it doesn't really matter what the prompt or the challenge is. There tends to be some sort of witchcraft reading in the mix. So with all that said, me and Julie decided, let's open a tag up that you can jump in and out of at any point in the whole year if you want to join in. There's no deadline, there's no finish date, it's just witchcraft tab if you want to join in the conversation here and over at Julie's channel as well, which I'll link below. So the tag that we came up with is Witch Lit Anytime. So the Witch Lit could be fiction, it could be non-fiction, it's up to you, and it can be any time at any point in the year. If you are reading a book that focuses on witches in any way, you can use this tab and it'll be flagged up for us to come and see. So what are we hoping from this? We're hoping to be able to collate information about witchcraft literature in one easy searchable place, not only for ourselves but for you guys as well. We're hoping to start a community around this sort of literature. We are hoping to create some challenge around reading witchcraft literature if you want to give it a go and you've not thought about it before. I know I'm personally really looking forward to new book recommendations or just conversations about what you thought about different books in this genre as well. So that's why we have started this tag. So Witch Lit Anytime. Now, if you want some book recommendations to get started, all my non-fiction books are kept downstairs on bookcases in my lounge. Now, last year I did a series of bookcase tours. I think I did 5 videos in the end, sharing all my shelves of sort of non-fiction witchcraft based books. So I'm not going to go through those bookshelves again. That would be pointless because I've not added to them since then. So if you want some non-fiction recommendations or just to see some witchcraft bookcases, then I will link those videos in the description box. But today we are going to be looking at a shelf next to me, which is a shelf containing my witchcraft fiction books. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go through what I've got on there. Most of it is unread. I'll talk about that as we get to it. So I'm going to turn my camera around and I'm going to share witchcraft fiction books for Witch Lit Anytime. So like I said, most of this fiction is still to be read. As soon as I knew we were going to do this tag, or we were talking about possibly doing a witchcraft reading tag, I started really searching out witchcraft fiction in charity shops. A lot of this is charity shop reads. I did do a haul on World of Books as well, a very cheap haul, but I did do a haul. And I have some books that have been on my TBR list for ages, which hopefully this new tag will help me prioritise getting to. So we're going to start in this top corner. Let me drag these top books down. This is a James Patterson book, Witch and Wizard. It looked like it was a free copy in a magazine, so I'm not sure what that is going to be about. It is the first book in a series though, so if it's good, that might be a new series that I found. At the same time with that, so these first 3 books cost me £1 altogether. I found the first and I think this is the second book in a magical series. Now this is a series by James Clemens. Each of the books in the series start with the word witch. A spectacular new fantasy epic begins, it says. So we've got Witchfire, Witch Storm, Witch War. So I've got book 1 and I've got book 3 here. Witchgate and Witch Star. So I've no idea what those are, but those were 30p each as well. This one is one that I've heard some really beautiful things about. This is Susan Fletcher, Witch Light. So this is set in 1692 in Scotland, and I think this is in the witch trials. We have Corag, a wild young girl living in the mountains. She's been imprisoned for being a witch. I think this is a historical romance book. So it's based on sort of real life records of witch trials going on, and I've seen the reviews of this. The writing in this book is supposed to be beautiful, so I did order that in. And this one as well, I've picked this one up next. This is by Anya Bergman. So this is The Witches of Vardo, and like with Witchlight, there is a historical element to Witches of Vardo because it is based on witch trials, hence you can see the flames on the front. Witch trials in Norway, and Anya actually used real life women and the records of their trials, the historic records of their trials, to write this book, and it is utterly terrifying. It really is brilliant book. Now, I have Conjure Women, which again I found in a charity shop, but this has been on my shelf for a few years now, about midwives and midwifery and the women who would have been viewed as having witchcraft tendencies. Like, it was always like the women who worked with herbs and the midwives who were accused of witchcraft. So it's a time of suspicion, friendship, betrayals, and the lengths we will go to save those we love. So I think again this is another book set in witchcraft trial times. I also picked up two for £1, two Stacey Hall's books. I picked up The Foundling and The Familiars. I think the covers of these books are absolutely beautiful. So these were two for £1 from my charity shop. Set in a time of accusations, set in a time where it's dangerous to be accused of being a witch. I definitely know The Familiars has that theme. I'm not so sure about The Foundling, but they're both on here together, and I suppose by reading them I will find out. And then we come to Anne Rice's books. So Anne Rice and the trilogy of books around the Mayfair witches. So last year I read The Witching Hour by Anne Rice, which I picked up again just for pennies in my charity shop. It is a pretty massive book. It is over 1,000 pages, so it is a mammoth, but it is fabulous. I was blown away by it. It's the first Anne Rice I've ever read, and have been waiting to find the other two in a charity shop, and I found them. I found this one I was given free in a bag of supernatural books that the charity shop didn't want to sell, so they handed me the whole bag, and Lasher was in it, which is the second book in the Mayfair trilogy, which I haven't read yet. So I've got book 2 and 3 to still to read, and then book 3, the final book in the Mayfair Witches trilogy, is Taltos, which I haven't read yet either, which again was found in a charity shop recently actually. So Anne Rice, the Mayfair Witches, if you haven't read The Witching Hour, give it a go. Don't let the length put you off. It is fabulous. Okay, another one found for 30p. Second-hand Spirits. Love the vintage, not the ghosts. So this looks like a really light read. This is about a girl called Lily Ivory, who's not your average witch. Her spellcasting powers tend to draw mischievous spirits while keeping normal humans at a distance. So this is a book about a witch who opens a second-hand vintage clothes shop. A witchcraft mystery, it says at the bottom. It looks like a really fun light read, so I've got that one. And then the last one in this pile over this side of the shelf is Charles de Lint, Memory and Dream. And again, is this a mammoth? No, it's nearly 700 pages. Story about Isabel Copley, an artist with an awesome gift of bringing to life the visions that she paints, and it's about all of the magic and mysteries that ensue. So Memory and Dream, I love that. If anybody has ever done any dream work on a magical path, then that might be a novel for you. Another trilogy I've got, which I haven't read yet, which I brought on recommendation from one of you guys, is Juliet Marilla's Daughter of the Forest. I think this is a trilogy. I don't think there are any more books. There's Daughter of the Forest, Son of the Shadows, and Child of the Prophecy. So this is a sort of Celtic mythology, sort of fairy tale based retelling, and it's definitely high up there on my want to read list, but again it's getting to it, isn't it? In the middle pile we've got what looks like a kid's book, Night Flying by Rita Murphy. This was found in a charity shop and I thought that looked fab to add to the shelf. We've got some Brian Bates here, The Way of the Weird. So The Way of the Weird by Brian Bates. Sometimes I read the blurb on this and it sounds more non-fiction than fiction, but I think this is a fiction book, and it's based on somebody that is being taken out into the English countryside to learn about magic actually in the landscape, with land spirits and animal spirits and plant magic, and then to go on a journey through all that magic on a quest for their own soul. It sounds fabulous, so that is on there to read. One that's been on my bookshelf as well for ages, again found in a charity shop, is Catherine Arden's The Bear and the Nightingale, and I wasn't too sure, to be honest, whether this was a witchcraft book or not. I think it is a retelling of a fairy tale. It's set in northern Russia. You can see it's a very snowy book. We've got house spirits as part of their dark magic of the woods. What is not to love in the idea of those things being brought together? Another charity shop find is The Second Sight of Zachary Cloudesky by Sean Luss. So this is set in a clockmaker's workshop, which is immediately fairy tale-esque, I think. It says that young Zachary Cloudesky is raised amongst the cogs and creations of his clockmaker father Abel's workshop. An unusual child, he's got the extraordinary gift. At the touch of a hand, he can see into the hearts and minds of the people he meets. So whether this is purely witchcraft or just special gifts, then again, it's up to you interpretation what witchcraft means for you. For me, a book about somebody with a special magical gift would fit this witch lit as well. It doesn't necessarily need to be a character or a theme where it is a specific witch and they call themselves a witch. Witch Child and Sorceress by Celia Rees. Now these two books, which I love the covers of by the way, were in that free bag of books that I got given with all the Anne Rice books. This one here, Sorceress, was shortlisted for the 2002 Whitbread Children's Book Award. This one was shortlisted for the Guardian Children's Fiction Prize in 2001. So it is sort of children's fiction, but they look fabulous and they were free, guys. They were given to me for free. Now here is another first in a series of books called The Dark Raven Chronicles. This as well has been on my bookshelf for ages. It's by Steve Hutton. I bought this book because I actually got 2 decks by Steve Hutton, 2 oracle decks. So this is a tale of 2 clashing worlds, the world of Colfina and those who wish to eliminate her and all of her kind. One world uses magic to heal the world, and the other world twists the idea of magic into an abomination. That's literally what we've seen in our own history. Burn Mark by Laura Powell, Ancient Witchcraft Modern World. This again is another book that came free in that bag of books that I was given. Witch Bottle is one that I bought in my witchy haul. The top it says everybody breaks, which is a bit scary. So Daniel is the character in this book who starts having nightmares and seeing things that can't possibly be there, like the emaciated giant which is so real he swears he could touch it if he dared, or the ghost of a man with a black bag over his head. So this is a book that brings into play protective wards and solutions like witch bottles. So you've got a scared village, it sounds, resorting to witchcraft and witch bottles. This one sounds scary and it sounds fascinating. Louisa Morgan's A Secret History of Witches, which I've never read. I think this is the one that was on the telly. Am I right in thinking that? Also, I've got Alice Hoffman's Practical Magic, a delicious fantasy of witchcraft and love on there to read. And having been blown away by the musical epic, which is charts the Odysseus story, then I also ordered Circe as well by Madeline Miller, which I cannot wait to read. This I'm going to read in my prompt for November, which is No Grey November. Read a book that's really colourful or shiny, and Circe I think fits brilliantly. I mean, this one could be read in May. My prompt for May is Gate May, so read a book with a gate on the front. There we go, we've got one there. As could, let's have a think, The Bear and the Nightingale Sea fits in with December, so to read like a snowy book. This is set in North Russia, so that would just be perfect. So you can see these are books that will fit in throughout the year. Last few books here. This is not really fiction. This is a historical novel, really, about royal witches by Gemma Holman. I just ordered this in because I was doing some research around like real historical witches and seeing that some of the royal family through time have been accused of witchcraft, and wanting to find out a lot more about that. So this follows 4 women in the royal family. You've got Joan of Navarre, was the richest woman in the land at the time when the war-torn England was penniless. Eleanor Cobham, now it's Eleanor that got me interested in this topic. She was the wife of a weak king's uncle, and her husband was about to fall from grace. So these are women in the royal family that have been accused of witchcraft. You've got Jaquetta Woodville, and you've also got Elizabeth Woodville as well. I cannot wait to read that, and a lot of it is people that lived in Warwickshire, which is the county next to where I live, so there might be some adventures out reading royal witches. I'm going to slide back in there The Witches of Vardo, which I've already talked about. This book here, Kirsten Miller, The Change, I read this a few years ago. It's not over its time, The Change. This is fabulous. This is a murder mystery, but it's also a witchcraft book. It charts 3 women who are all of a certain age going through the change, and that rebirth, it's a sort of baptism of fire, literally like the heat of going through the change with your hot flushes, and it's about 3 women who are going through that, but that rebirth of fire charges in them magical abilities, and they find each other. They come together to basically reclaim their power. They've women who have been left, women who have been looked over in work, women who have been abandoned by cheating husbands, trading their women in for younger models, and there is a birth in women of this age through fire, baptism of fire, to kind of hold on and challenge that sort of crone rage into witchcraft. And they come together. Not only does it explore the powers that they find, one working with plants, poisonous plants and controlling plants, one with the power to hear voices, the other one has strength, I think. It's been a while since I've read this book, guys, but it's brilliant. But they also come together to solve a mystery, a murder mystery that's happening in the area as well. They use their skills for that. So it's really a great read, that one. If you're a woman of a certain age, I would say definitely get that one. This was another book I found recently in a charity shop for 50p. This is The Year of the Witching by Alex Henderson. Cursed at birth, exiled as a child. Now she may be the only one with the courage to save them. That's as much as I know about it, but that is on my shelf waiting to be read as well. Right, the last few books. So we've got A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. The All Souls trilogy begins. So this is book 1. I've got that one ready to go. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This is planned for me to read in October, where my prompt is to read any book with an animal on the cover, but also Ben Read's Good Challenge is to read a ugly book with an ugly cover, Ugtober. I don't like this cover, I think it's ugly, plus it's got an animal, so that's planned to read in October. And finally, I've got Kate Tiernan's Sweep, Book of Shadows, The Coven and Blood Witch. So this is a bound book with 3 different novels in, and I thought I would give that one a go. So you can see most of those I haven't read. A lot of those are quite new to me, and I'm really, really excited to read them. My priorities though for this month is Diary of a Witch and Slewfoot, and also The Skeptical Feminist. So we've actually got 3 witchy books this month. I'm sure at a future date I will come back and I'll do a review of these 3 books under this new tag, Witchlit Anytime. So that's it, guys. That's the new tag with me and Julie. I know that Julie is putting a video up today as well, also introducing the tags, so I'll leave Julie's channel and that video linked in the description box as well. I think she's going to be sharing her books as well, so go along and see Julie's video too. And if you have a TBR or you have a witchy bookshelf, then add our tag. I'd love to see it. I do know that yesterday, before I filmed this, that my friend Thea over at Garden Goddess Tarot, she did a bookcase tour, which is brilliant. I'll link Thea's video as well, which is fabulous. But that's my fiction witchy shelf, so I'm really excited to start reading the shelf and sharing it with you. So Witchlit Anytime, guys, do join in. It's going to be fun. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.